all right, this is going to be the most valuable videos that I've ever made. One of the brand owners that I've actually been working with just hit his first 10K month in revenue, subscription revenue, so reoccurring revenue, right? So it's absolutely insane. And I'm going to leak exactly how we did it. And so when it comes to your ads, when it comes to writing copy, when it comes to everything that you need to understand, the most important thing is that with market sophistication increasing, with people's skepticism increasing, the only way to really stand out is to have something called a pattern interrupt. Today I'm going to break down exactly what that means and how you can absolutely just crush it with this concept in your ads. This is going to skyrocket the performance of your creatives if you do this properly, if you understand this. If you don't understand this, go ahead and write all the questions that you have into the comments. I'm not here to waste your time. This is the most insane, valuable stuff ever. I can't believe I'm giving this away on YouTube. All right. First thing, visual, right? So basically, just to walk you through, you have 4 different ways to include pattern interrupts, which I'm going to break down. We have the visuals, right? We have unexpected copy, we have movements, motion, and we have authenticity, okay? So visual, right? What can you do visually to have a pattern interrupt, to be different, to set you to that one ad apart from everything else, to interrupt people from doom scrolling, right? How can you achieve that? Because people are used to seeing ads. They heard all the claims. They're super tired of everything that you promise. And so this is the way that you get them, that you still can get them basically to listen to you, to listen to the entire ad, and then to take action, right? So there's 4 different things I've written down here. First one is split screen. We have reaction UGC. We have exaggerated visuals, and we have word for word visuals. Okay, what do these mean? Split screen, you've probably seen them either like 2 screens at once, or even like a grid with 4, maybe even more than 4 visuals all at once in one frame. The reason why this works is because it kind of overstimulates their dopamine receptors, right? People scroll, all of a sudden there's 2 different screens, 2 different things to look at left and right. Once again, this is a very, very powerful, easy pattern interrupt, and you see this with a lot of reaction stuff. And this brings me to the next thing, which is reaction UGC. Reaction UGC is either a split screen, yes, so on the left you have some authority figure or some random person reacting to what's happening on the right, for example, or bottom top, or if you have more than 2, then obviously like you wanted to, but specifically reaction UGC, I've written this down as a separate point here because you've probably seen it a lot. It's like you have a video playing and then you have someone with no background, right? No background UGC people, just like you only see their face floating around. It's kind of a little bit pixelated and it's a little bit, getting bigger and smaller, and it's like this reaction style UGC, right? You know what I'm talking about. And this works exceptionally well. These 2 work really, really well is because they both interrupt the normal, hey, if you have this, if you have that, like people are used to all that stuff. Obviously pattern interrupts, by the way, most of these things, these are going to be actual now. These are things that are working right now that I'm seeing work across hundreds of ad accounts. Yes, these work. Maybe if you're watching this 2 years later though, maybe they don't work anymore. Okay, so that's very, very important to understand. So reaction UGC and split screens right now, grid screens working very, very well. Now we have exaggerated visuals. What is that? Now, exaggerated visuals means that if you showcase, if you say something, for example, disgusting, if you say the word disgusting, then you actually show someone like throwing up or something super, super disgusting. If you show something beautiful, you actually exaggerate the craziest shit ever. Like you show like the most beautiful nature or person or whatever that you can imagine, and you actually show it, right? This is something which people once again are not used to, because most of you guys, what you guys are doing and what most people are doing, not only in ecom, overall when they're running ads, is they either just have themselves speaking, right? Or it's just like super normal product-based B-roll footage, and that's all the visuals that they have. And so if you exaggerate everything that you show, it's going to obviously be a pattern interrupt, set you apart. And once again, this is going to lead to people giving you their attention, and attention is equal to money, right? That you make when it comes to paid ads, right? So you just have to be a king at grabbing attention and then retaining it. And both of these things are done through pattern interrupts. Another thing is word for word, right? So word for word means that exactly what you say, you actually show. Meaning, for example, let's say you say something of like, oh, I didn't have enough time, blah, blah, blah. And then when you talk about time, you actually show B-roll footage of a clock or a watch, someone looking at their watch or something, or some stock footage, for example, right? So you actually showcase exactly word for word what you say, right? And then you can do this super fast paced. Like for every word in the script, or for every sentence, you have a separate stock footage clip, right? And you can film all these yourself, so to make it make sense, to not be too like VSL, too salesy. But you can do this, and this works exceptionally well, right? You can do this for, whatever metaphors that you talk about, which I'm also going to say and mention what that is and how that works and all that stuff. Keep in mind, visually, pattern interrupts are probably the most crazy thing ever, and you should always have one. Like, this is something which you always should and have to do. We're going to get into obviously authenticity and copy. These are things that you can't do in every single one, but visual pattern interrupts are something which just make you more money if you go ahead and implement these into your ads like right now. Every one of you guys that's running ads in some platform for some business model, it doesn't have to be ecom even, it's going to work out. It's going to immediately make your stuff better. You're just going to watch your drop-offs in between until between the hook rate and the pitch rate go up. You're going to watch the drop-offs go down. You're going to watch the CTRs go up, and everything is going to get cheaper and better for you, okay? Second thing is unexpected copy. Now we're getting really deep into the copywriting process of everything, and there's a couple different things that really are work super well, super powerful that you implement into your copy to basically once again increase the retention of people watching your ads and therefore make more money. Okay. First thing is a meme or some type of trend. So memes, obviously, these are things that you have to constantly update, right? So these are obviously things that, maybe if the meme dies, your ad dies. If the whole point of the ad is the meme, meme concepts overall and paid ads die fairly quickly with the meme, right? With the meme going down. For example, like if you want to have a super stupid example, that Italian brain rot thing, right? If you did something for a completely different niche, but just implemented that, yes, of course, it should make sense with the audience that you want to kind of attract with it, of course. But it's like if it's a meme, especially in the audience in the same niche that you're trying to sell to, it's gonna appear like a more organic video. People are not gonna have this super defensive, this is an ad mode, right? And they're just going to scroll. No, they can actually, once again, increase retention of the people watching your stuff. Second thing is metaphors. And this is actually a super powerful direct response element. Whenever you're writing direct response copy, speaking in metaphors, not always, but from time to time, it's actually very powerful, right? Especially when you're introducing your unique mechanism in your paid ad, right? So there's always a point in every ad where you talk about your solution, not yet about your product, but about the solution overall. And in that case, like, it's super important to not just very boringly explain how the biology or how the science works behind it, but actually go deeper into, comparing it to real life example, basically speaking in pictures. Very underrated, but very underused also, but very powerful, okay? Immediately go ahead and apply it. And the third thing, reverse psychology. This is something which you already know what this is. Obviously, like, reverse psychology is, people have done this in organic ads, organic videos, basically for dropshipping or whatever. These are things like, don't buy this, or why 5 reasons why I regret buying blah, blah, blah. And then it's like still your product, right? So like basically reversing everything. Once again, very simple pattern interrupt. This is something which you can't do in all the scripts of yours because this has to make sense and this has to be a specific concept for that. But it's like, you can do this, you can try this, and it will almost like always have higher hook rates than the normal stuff that people are just used to, right? Would interrupt their patterns. Then we have controversy. Once again, something which organic people use, right? So as you can see, a lot of organic knowledge in this too, but like controversy works really well in paid ads too. It just doesn't, like, it just shouldn't be something completely random, like a Andrew Tate picture in the background, or like some weird stuff, right? It shouldn't be anything of that kind. Obviously, you don't want to optimize your paid ad in the wrong audience, because that's going to mess up your metrics and it's not going to convert, right? So since our job is only to convert, we can still say controversial stuff. We can still say controversial numbers. Some stuff like, well, people are just looking at it and it's like, okay, this can't be true, right? Very powerful. Use it. And then last but not least, for unexpected copy, I have hyper specific stats. So this is something which I usually talk about when I'm talking about the hook test, right? Which is actually testing hooks on these blank image ads. Whenever I talk about that, I usually recommend to write very specific numbers on those hooks. And this is something which you probably even, like, to be fair, you probably clicked on YouTube videos before, on like YouTube videos for dropshipping, that instead of saying I reached my first 1K day, they said I reached my first $1,465.83. The reason why is the more specific the number is, right, the more people actually click. People just like clicking on a very specific number. So now you know why people are doing this on YouTube too. Okay, very, very important and very powerful to use this once again immediately, right? All right, so the next pattern interrupt that is super important to know and to implement into your ads is actually the movement, right? And so this is kind of tied and connected to the visual portion of everything, but specifically of how you connect the clips that you basically use with each other, and how you just, once again, without really changing anything from the copy or the actual like build up or setup of the ad, and also not really the visual like logic. This is just actually just the editing. Okay, so there's 3 different things that I wrote down here. First of all, the pattern pacing, then we have sudden zooms, and then we have text. Okay, so specifically movement on text. So pattern pacing means that you have pacing, so like cutting to the next clips in very reoccurring, basically regular steps, right? So basically how that would look like is, for example, let's say you have music, let's say you have a beat, right? And you cut the pacing, you cut the video, cut the entire ad to the beat. That already in itself is going to basically increase the retention of the people that actually stay on your ad, right? Second thing is sudden zooms. Okay, so zooms specifically, what I mean by this is if you take a look at, for example, a lot of ads that in the visual hook have a very quick zoom in or zoom out, or like a very specific motion to the left or to the right, for example, those typically have higher hook rates than just normal cuts or just no pacing in the hook at all. Really important to do this, because like usually whenever you have a big motion, something that is some crazy movement in your ad, people want to know where that movement is going to, right? People want to know where that ends. And so it's super important to understand that this is actually a super strong direct response element, and a super good mechanism to implement into your ads to increase the retention of the people on your ads. And so this is something which you can also directly implement. And then last but not least here, the text, right? So movement on the text level. And so this is specifically interesting for the VSL concept. So you have different ad concepts. One of them is VSL, which is, the super long, super salesy type of ad that positions you as the actual brand selling something. If you have that specific ad concept, what you notice oftentimes is like, okay, you have a red banner, and then on it, it's like a super big yellow text or something, or oftentimes it's just like super aggressive text with super aggressive colors, and specifically the movement and the animations of those texts matter a lot, right? When you have a normal UGC video, this doesn't really matter that much to you, but like if you do VSLs, then obviously the text placement, the size of your text, and the movement of your text actually matters a lot. And so I want you to think about this, and I want you to implement this the right way in order to, once again, have this little pattern interrupt just with the text of already automatically basically keeping more people watching the ad. Okay, very powerful. Now, the last thing is the authenticity. And this is actually a super big one because everyone's heard all the claims. This is kind of connected and tied to what I mentioned in the beginning when I was talking a little bit about the market sophistication going up. People don't trust ads anymore. They've heard all the claims, right? They've made buying experiences, bad ones and good ones. And why would they buy from you? What sets you apart? Now, if you're just really honest and transparent, this itself is a pattern interrupt that's working very well in marketing. And so what people specifically want to see is behind the scenes, founder ads and vlogs. You got to admit your mistakes as a brand, and you got to make 1 in 0 content. So what does all this mean, right? Behind the scenes footage is, for example, when you have a clip of, an ad, right? Let's say it's B-roll footage, and then you cut to a clip which you can see the camera filming that B-roll footage, and it's like a behind the scenes type of thing. Or another example is someone walking in the actual like storage, or like the where you have all your stock basically of your brand, right? If you just film all your stock, once again, it's like super transparent, it's super honest. Or if, for example, you've seen a lot of brands maybe leak their numbers, leak their revenue inside of their ads. And so all these things, what they do is they don't really what they provide really is just trust. They just bridge the gap, the trust gap between you and your leads, your prospects of your business. Really, really important. And then founder ads and vlogs are obviously the next level of that, which is actually the founder of the brand or someone that you position as as the founder or the face of the brand actually talking, right, in front of a camera. So usually it's a lot of storytelling, right? So why did you launch the brand? Oh, I struggled with this and that myself, blah, blah, blah. And then it cuts to the clips of, why, like what is the process of launching and how long did it take and how hard did you guys work on the brand and on the project and everything. And typically this works really well because once again, this provides a lot of trust and bridges the trust gap between you and your end customers. Really powerful thing. Definitely use it. And then admitting mistakes is going to come down to, obviously talking about stuff in your brand's past and your brand's history that you've done wrong. And to be fair, every business has a problem. Okay. If someone says they have a perfect business, there's no such thing as a perfect business. There's always something going massively wrong. And the cool thing is you as the founder know it the most, right? You have to, as the founder of your business, know exactly what's going wrong the most, and no one else knows it as much as you do. And so might as well use those flaws, use those past mistakes as your advantage when you, for example, provide them as trust. And then you can say, hey, we did this and that in the past or in our last drop or something, but this time we actually did this so that never happens again. Very, very, very cool thing, right? You won't find a lot of other people really doing this, but it's actually super powerful. And then we have 1 in 0 content. This is what I've written down here. 1 in 0 content means say stuff in your ads that only you can say. And this is actually one of the most powerful things that you can do. 1 in 0 is like an Alex Ramosi thing, right? But it's like content, things that only you can say, like prove, right? What have you done? How many lines have you changed? How many problems have you solved? What sets you apart? What actually sets you apart that no one else can really say and provide as proof that their stuff actually does work? And this can be actually, like I just said, proof, right? This can be, actually explaining a certain sub niche very, very well because you just have the understanding and the experience of working with yourself and other people. All these things you can do and show and communicate very, very well in your paid ad. And this is specifically a pattern interrupt because once again, you won't find a lot of other people doing this on a very, very high level, right? So yeah, guys, that was pretty much it for this video. I hope you could actually learn a couple things here. I think you could. If you apply this correctly, then you will see all your numbers go up. And yeah, thank you so much for giving me your most important asset, which is your attention, right? And thank you so much for watching. I wish you a beautiful day.